Greetings from the set of Metro and More at Metropolitan Community College, serving more than 50,000 students with over 120 programs at our 8 locations in the daytime, evening, weekends, or online. And I'm your host, Kent Pavelka. Welcome again to Metro and More of what you need to know about Metropolitan Community College, and an update in the next 30 minutes ahead on MCC's sustainable future as we delve into what MCC is doing in the areas of sustainability and recycling. Sarah Murray is my guest. Sarah is the coordinator of sustainable practices at Metropolitan Community College and relatively new to Omaha and the job. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Sarah.
Sure. Yes, I have been in Omaha for about 5 months now and at Metro Community College for 5 months. So far it's been very welcoming, everyone's been very nice, and I couldn't be more pleased to be here.
I tried to get you to tell me where you're from, and you won't tell me because you're from everywhere, right?
It's true. It's a story of many military brats across the nation. You can't ever figure out one place to tell someone where you're from.
But you've lived overseas?
I've lived overseas and East Coast, West Coast, and found myself here in the Midwest now.
Most recently in the state of Maryland.
Correct.
Where, did you go to college there?
No, I went to college in North Carolina for my undergraduate degree.
University of?
No, East Carolina University.
East Carolina. Mm-hmm. How'd you wind up then in Maryland?
I had gone to high school in Maryland, and I had gone to North Carolina specifically for their urban and regional planning program. I always knew I wanted to be a planner. So then I had an internship in Annapolis, Maryland, and took that, and then they offered me a job, which is what everyone hopes for. So then I returned up to Maryland for that job and stayed there for a number of years. And
then this opportunity came along, and
correct.
Here you are.
Here I am, yes.
Tell us more about what you studied and what was your focus?
Sure. Well, undergraduate, I studied urban and regional planning. I knew that I always kind of wanted to help my community, make it a better place, and so my focus was planning and environmental issues. And then from there, I kind of delved more into, I really wanted to focus on environmental issues. So I then looked to get my master's degree in sustainability and development, which I did from Southern Methodist University in Texas. And so there we studied everything from, green building to what can you do in developing countries where they don't have access to the economic funds that other people do to kind of implement these sustainable issues.
Let me just throw a general question at you. There's a lot of people who just say this. There's no global warming. There's no all these issues don't exist. You've got a master's in this. I mean, what do you?
True.
What's your response to that?
I think there's always going to be skeptics to everything, but I like to kind of show the science behind things, and even if you don't want to agree with the science. There's also other instances of environmental issues coming around, like in food production and such, that kind of indicate that there are environmental issues happening on our Earth and something we need to take care of quickly before it gets out of hand, which we're already behind the 8 ball, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, does it bother you with the folks that?
Does it bother me? No. I mean, I think there's always going to be people that, disagree. I think it offers for an interesting conversation. I like to hear other people's perspective, but I also like to kind of hopefully educate them on what is happening and where things could be headed if people don't make any changes.
Well, give us a 2-minute version of what is happening.
Okay. 2-minute version for the entire Earth.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, right now, we're having a increase in temperature, which is now melting different either ice caps and any sort of ice we have, which is then raising the sea level. So then we're going to be looking at sea levels rising and moving in and creating a huge issue for populations, because a lot of our populations are developed on the coasts. So there's potentially could be loss of a lot of life, a lot of structures, a lot of land, all those could be potential issues. And one of the current thoughts is that we are only 2 degrees away. So if we continue at the rate we're going, if we get 2 degrees higher, that's going to be something that happens. So we should try and prepare for that the best we can.
Okay. So and then maybe just before we delve into what we're doing at MCC
Sure.
with sustainability and recycling, definitions of what that is, what that means.
Sure. Sustainability looks at social issues, economic issues, and environmental all in one. They all kind of lead into one another. It's something that you don't want to have one without the other because then it's off balance. So when they're all in balance, it's a sustainable closed loop cycle, and that's what we hope for.
Give us an example of what you're talking about.
Sure. A good example would be any type of, for example, we can go into recycling. So if you have a piece of paper that you put it in your recycling bin rather than your trash, that can then be reused, and then that's your recycling for you.
Yeah. And obviously the college is dedicated to
Yes.
to this proposition institutionally.
Absolutely.
So tell us what the program is at Metropolitan Community College.
Sure. The college has been very adamant about implementing sustainability into the college for a number of years now, but we're kind of re-energized in the last few months. They had a gap without having a sustainability coordinator for a number of years. But what we're looking to do is implement kind of green building. We're looking to take care of our grounds in a more environmentally friendly way. We're really just trying to develop a way to create a baseline for our energy use as well. So these are all things that we then want to kind of improve upon, make them more sustainable, and see what we can do from there.
Your predecessor was Daniel Lassie. He kind of instituted a lot of this, right?
He is fantastic, yes. And he did a lot of fantastic things for the college and really got them off on a great start. And yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, is this pretty commonplace in at college, on the college level, to have a program such as this?
You know, it is becoming much more commonplace. Regionally, most of our colleges around the area have sustainability coordinators. And it is something that most colleges are looking to implement if they don't already. Unfortunately, a lot of them experience financial reasons why they can't implement a sustainability or sustainability coordinator. But I think even if they don't have a sustainability coordinator, a lot of them try and do sustainability initiatives on their own, whether it just be something as simple as recycling or taking on, some colleges are going to completely, producing no waste, net zero. So it different levels for different colleges.
The program includes recycling too.
Correct,
But
yes.
it includes, you kind of ran over that real quickly, the grounds and the green building.
Sure.
Can you kind of describe what the program is in terms of how it maybe affects an employee who works there or a student?
Sure. Well, sustainability really, it is very comprehensive. It affects any sort of transportation issue. It affects, what you're purchasing in the dining halls. It affects what kind of paper you're allowed to print. So sustainability touches all those issues. And one of the things that we're trying to do is kind of focus more on the various issues from very different standpoints.
Such as?
Such as we're trying to implement more recycling. Daniel did a fantastic job of getting that off the ground, and unfortunately once he left, it's the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and there was no squeaky
Sure.
wheel. So that kind of fell off a little bit, so we're trying to reinvigorate our students and staff and faculty to recycle and any of that kinds of stuff.
Sarah, tell us a little bit. There's a slogan I ran into getting ready to talk with you. Think globally, act locally.
Yes.
What's that about?
That means that they want you to think about the world around you. Oftentimes you hear about these big issues of, there's that the water of the ocean is so polluted with microbeads and plastics, but you can't really do much for that ocean. But what can you do in your neighborhood?
Gotcha.
How can you make changes for yourself, for your community, for those around you?
Well, in the interest of serving the community, what can people do?
Sure.
What would you recommend as
you know-
a program if you really aren't doing anything at this point?
Sure, I think doing some research and just being aware. I think unfortunately a lot of people just aren't aware of what they're doing. We get into habits of getting the plastic bags at the grocery store. We get in the habit of buying certain body cleansers that have plastic microbeads in them. Just educating yourself and knowing what the potential outcome is for using these products, that is half the battle. And then from there you can maybe say, okay, well, how can I make changes? I can bring the reusable bags to the grocery store. I can buy cleansers that don't contain microbead plastics. So I think just awareness is something that really goes a long way.
Microbead plastics, that's
Yes.
a new one for me. What is that?
Well, a lot of cleansers, body scrubs, they contain generally for like exfoliating your skin. So in a lot of female products, and it's just, yeah, it's an exfoliant, but it's plastic, and so then that will go down either your sink or your bathtub, and then go into the water stream, and then that's something that it builds up very quickly, and they're so small that it's not caught in the water treatment systems.
Is this this has got to be a relatively new phenomenon?
You know, I'd
doesn't
say it's probably, microbeads have really taken off in probably the last 5 years.
Why were they allowed to?
You know, I think it's one of those things that
Do it.
it just kind of happened. People started saying, oh, I love how clear my skin is when I'm using this product. So more people started integrating microbeads into their products. And I think now people are starting to realize the outcome, unfortunately, of, it ends up in our water stream and then the fish eat it, and then it's plastic, so it's toxic to these animals. And sometimes, you're eating those fish as well. So it's that whole system.
Back to the grocery store. So if you're not going to bring a reusable bag with you,
Sure.
ask for the paper, I guess, instead of the plastic?
There's a lot of debate on that.
What do you think?
I prefer the paper because it's something that I then reuse for putting my recyclables in my home in, and then I can just recycle it that way.
Yeah.
But it's really one of those things that if you're going to reuse your plastic bags, some people use them for picking up pet waste, then that works as well. But you don't want to be just being wasteful and tossing things away. And that's something to consider as well is, look at how wasteful you are. What are you wasting? Are you wasting a lot of, produce? Are you looking into your trash and seeing that you have a lot of paper? Are you seeing a lot of plastic? How can you then say, okay, I don't want to produce this much paper. Maybe I need to read my newspaper online, or maybe I need to get off, some junk mail lists. I think just analyzing your waste is something that really can tell you a lot about your habits.
And the big tip off there is paper and plastic, I suppose.
Yes. And also, food waste. That's not only is it, not financially helpful to you, but also it does cause problems in our landfills. Maybe you could look at composting or just not purchasing as much food.
What about energy use? You get into that?
Yeah, absolutely. We do get into energy. We have an energy manager at Metro Community College that he is wonderful, and he takes care of a lot of our energy, but that is also a huge component of sustainability, something we're looking towards. We're trying to keep different rooms on the college certain temperatures to kind of keep our energy uses low. We don't want to be wasting energy. We don't want doors open and windows open when you have the air conditioning running. So those are all things that we try and take into account.
Anything else individuals ought to be thinking about beyond what we've talked about?
I mean, there are so many things, and I think that's what people find overwhelming. There are so many aspects you can look at. You can look at your transit. Are you utilizing alternative transportation? Is there a bus route you can be taking to work or to the store? So that's something simple. And for those that don't know, Metro Transit just redid their bus route as of May 31st. So if you haven't looked at your bus route in a while, maybe look and see if there is one close to you that now goes to where you need to go. That's a great option that many people don't take advantage of. And also bicycling. That is really on the rise. I just heard the other day that in the UK, biking has doubled in the last 10 years for commuting. And if you look around, you can kind of see that around Omaha as well. There seems to be a lot of bicycle commuters. So that's something that maybe some people that have access to that can do.
What's your observation as to how receptive people are to moving in this direction? Because it represents change for a lot of people of habits that are pretty ingrained.
Absolutely. It is a behavioral change for a lot of people. It is something, we're human, we get into habits, we don't want to break them. But I think when people can see that, oh, I can take the bus and it will get me to work only 10 minutes later, and I can save money on gas, and I can sit there and read, have time to myself and read a book or whatever. I think people are really receptive to it then. I think most people are just overwhelmed that they don't know what to do or how to start. And they think, oh, there's so many people that know so much more about this type of thing that I'm not even going to delve into it. When
What would be a good resource for folks? I mean, you got some classes.
we do have a lot of classes. For continuing ed classes, we offer things on aquaponics, which is kind of growing food with fish. It's really interesting. If you haven't heard of that, we have home and garden classes. We have bicycle maintenance classes for people that would like to take up biking, but they don't even know the biking 101 of how to care for a bike. So we have some of those. And then for credit classes, we have, a lot of people know us by our Culinary Arts Institute, and that's a very sustainably focused degree plan. And then horticulture and land systems management. A lot of people don't know we have a small barn, a small animal farm on this campus. So that's something that is sustainable as well. And then we offer some sustainable classes in the construction and trades areas.
So for folks who aren't going to come down to a class,
Sure.
is there any resource, any specific resource? You talked about how overwhelming it can be.
Sure.
That you'd recommend?
I think just starting with a simple Google search of, green things that I can do for my home, or YouTube of different, how to grow some of my own tomatoes, just something like simple as gardening. That can be something that people can do to get their start in sustainability.
What about for businesses? What can they do?
Businesses, there are a
Because
lot.
that would be analogous to the college,
Absolutely,
as
exactly.
opposed to being an individual.
Yeah, so businesses, they can support mass transit by offering any sort of discounts or any sort of incentive to participate in mass transit. A lot of businesses use reusable diningware rather than having plastic cups or plastic coffee mugs. That's really helpful. Obviously printing double-sided rather than everyone just printing single-sided pieces of paper. Mine's double-sided. Printing double-sided is always a good option to go as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things that businesses can implement.
Can you give us a snapshot in your short tenure in Omaha as to the community and how conscious it is of this movement?
Absolutely. I have found that Omaha is very receptive to this movement. I have been a part of many different groups, many different meetings of people that really want Omaha to be, seen as as a place that is really thoughtful about their environment. Omaha seems very perceptive to the food movement. There are a lot of urban gardening. There's a lot of people that are growing their own food, having backyard gardens. So that's one way that Omaha in particular is especially involved in sustainability.
The bunch of community initiatives, the Green Omaha Coalition.
Correct. There's Earth Day Omaha. We're working on a brownfields grant with South Omaha Community Garden. So they're turning basically what used to be a landfill site in South Omaha, they're turning it into a community garden to make that space a place where people can grow food, where kids can play. So that's great. There's a lot of different parts of Omaha that are becoming involved in different ways.
I think there are opportunities too for folks to avail themselves. There's a lot of presentations on sustainability on the community level, right?
Absolutely, yes. There are lots of presentations. Green Omaha Coalition, they put out a great resource, newsletter, I believe it's weekly, of different presentations going on in the area. And we're lucky that we have so many colleges and universities because they're always tend to be at the forefront and want to kind of be the ones to say, oh, have you seen this cool new thing? So they're oftentimes wanting to promote new and interesting sustainability topics.
What are some of the challenges that those who are trying to push sustainability forward are encountering?
Sure. There are a lot of, I would say, policy hurdles. Recently there's been a new policy within the last week or so about the Climate Action Plan. So that's something that hopefully will kind of trickle down and kind of move things forward for people that have been resistant to change. But policy is usually one of the things that people tend to kind of let hold them back, because it's so hard to overcome if there's, you know, some sort of legislation or something that is preventing you from putting in place some innovative and exciting thinking.
Well, how do you see Nebraska and the Omaha area in that regard?
You know, I think it will be interesting to see how it plays out. I think there's going to be a change in a lot of how we receive our energy. I know that OPBD is currently kind of moving towards a more diversified mix, relying less on non-renewable fuels to more renewable energy sources. So that will be something that hopefully will be taking place in the next few years.
Now, I'm sure you've got some great ideas for what you can do in your position here at the college. What's your short-term focus, and then what do you hope to do with sustainability in 3-5 years or so?
Sure, absolutely. Well, you know, Metropolitan Community College, it's not just one location. There are many different locations throughout the state. So that's something that we always have to try and consider. We don't want to put all our energy into one specific campus because we want to be equitable. And one of the things that we're looking to do is we have 2 new electric vehicles. We have one at the Fort Omaha campus and one at the South Omaha campus. So we're looking to maybe expand our electric vehicle fleet. You know, it's funny because a lot of people didn't think they were going to like driving the electric vehicle, thinking, oh, this thing's going to, you know, not move, just going to putz along.
What is it?
It's a Nissan Leaf, but people have been pleasantly surprised. Everyone I've spoken to says, oh man, that thing is great. I wasn't expecting it to get up and go. So that's been interesting. So we're hoping to expand our electric vehicle fleet, as well as look into different types of transit opportunities. We also want to join the ASHE program, which is the...
What is that called?
ASHE. It stands for the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education. And they have a program called the ASHE STARS, which stands for Sustainability Tracking, Assessment, and Rating System. And that takes a look comprehensively at a university or college and has them look at everything from purchasing, dining, transportation, buildings, energy use. And over 700 colleges and universities have participated in the ASHE STARS program, so we're going to be hopefully taking part in that. And that will give us a good baseline of where we currently stand in terms of sustainability in comparison with other colleges and universities in the region, as well as the world.
Sort of a stamp of approval kind of thing almost?
Exactly. It's stamp of approval, and it's also knowledge for us to know where we stand and how we can improve and what we can do to make ourselves, you know, more sustainable.
How coordinated is all this? You mentioned, you know, to know what to do. I mean,
you know, it's funny because my job involves everything from talking about, you know, working with bus routes to one day I got a call about, you know, Sarah, how can you help me with our bees that we have on campus? So it really is all encompassing. We try and take a very coordinated, strategic approach to everything, but there is a lot of back and forth, and there's a lot going on.
I can appreciate that coordination in terms of what you do on this campus, but I was thinking more about coordination within, let's say, the United States. I mean, is everybody inventing their own individual wheel?
You know, no, and that's one of the great things about at least the ASHE program for colleges and universities is that everyone's trying to help each other. We're kind of trying to guide each other. We don't want the blind leading the blind. But it really is a coordinated effort. We're kind of all on the same page. There's a group of us that we discuss these topics day in and day out. And then within Omaha, we're trying to relaunch a committee on sustainable professionals for colleges and universities so that we're not all reinventing the wheel and working in a silo, so that way we can all kind of say, oh, well, this is what I've done at my college. You know, maybe that will work for you as well.
Is there a model anywhere out there that, like at a college, that is like ahead of everybody?
You know, there are a number of colleges and universities that have really taken off. A lot of them, they have the financial means to do so. They have, a lot of them are a little more liberal as well. So they're very accepting of new technologies that maybe haven't been quite proven yet, and a lot of people want to be the first to implement something. So there are a few, but
But you just mentioned this costs money to implement, right?
Yes, it does cost money.
I mean, do you get to the point, I assume you have to get to a point where it becomes cost effective.
Exactly, and that's one thing that we really try to be cognizant of is being cost effective. We don't want to spend money on something that we don't know is going to, have some sort of payback for us in the future. So we're not just spending money on things that we aren't sure of. We're spending money on things that we know and have proven to have some sort of financial benefit as well as economic and social.
Environmental, obviously.
Exactly, yeah.
And sometimes that payoff, it takes a while though.
Yes, that is true. Sometimes payoff can be as quick as 6 months to a year, depending on what type of project it is. Sometimes it can be 20 years if it's a very large, expensive project. So that's something that is tough for a lot of people to grapple with.
30 minutes goes by in a hurry, and I just want to make sure we cover everything that you would like to share about the program and sustainability.
Yeah, no, this has been great. Metro Community College is definitely trying to kind of lead the way in sustainability. We're really trying to put a focus on it. We want students to be involved as well. It's not just one person. I like to think that all staff and faculty are part of the sustainability mission and goals.
How do you communicate that? And does it take constant communication?
It does take constant communication. It's something that everyone has their own jobs that they're dealing with, their own deadlines. So it's kind of, unfortunately have to be that little nagging voice in the back of your head. Have you printed on both sides? That kind of
Sure.
thing. But people are very receptive. People want to be involved. People want to help. I mean, nobody wants to leave this earth in a mess for their children or grandchildren. So people do want to help. It's just trying to get the message across of how you can help and, getting others involved as well.
You make a good point though. I mean, we've all got to kind of focus on this, focus on remembering.
Yes.
Be
Yes.
cognizant. It's a habit, I guess, really, more than anything else, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is a habit. You just want to get into those good habits. As easily as you've been able to get into the habit of grabbing the plastic bag, why don't try and get in the habit of bringing your reusable bag? And it's just making those little changes one at a time. It's not something that you have to change your whole lifestyle. You want to be pragmatic about it.
Very good. I know we've only just scratched the surface, but I appreciate it very much.
Absolutely.
And welcome to Omaha and the college.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for being with us again on Metro and More. Our goal is to better acquaint you with the mission, leadership, and the reach of the college. I'm Kent Pavelka for Metropolitan Community College. If you have comments or questions about the program, please email us at metrovision@mccneb.edu. Thanks for watching.
This has been a MetroVision production produced by Metropolitan Community College.